We will be recording this session, just an FYI. And we'll give it a minute for our gratitude community to join us here. We got a great traction in terms of registering for this webinar. Again, every time we would love to see from where you are joining this virtual session. Please type in the chat box. We are eager to see our reach. So we'll be starting at sharp 10:01 PST. And you all can already see our panel members, enthusiastic panel speakers who have taken time to dedicate this slot for our community. All right, let me see in the chat. Haven't seen any messages yet. Do you guys mind sharing where are you from and where are you taking this virtual session from? All right, it's 10:01 PST, time to start our session. Again, welcome everybody. We'll let others join as and how time permits for them. But again, I'm Kavita from Grad Achiever team, and together with the Open Admit, we are hosting this session, and we are very, very fortunate to have these kind of series running here, the useful webinars running for our community. And again, Grad Achiever is a platform with a vision built to bring all the high school students and parents and all the resources like tutoring, counseling, all in one platform to avoid parents and students having to follow 100 different Facebook groups and so on. With that intent, there is a great topic. We're going to be talking about summer programs, and we have Riya Hiradesai who's going to be hosting this webinar. So Riya Hiradesai, take it on from here, all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kavita, and the rest of the Grad Achiever team. We're super excited to be here. So a little introduction about myself. My name is Riya Hiradesai, and I'm a second-year student at Georgia Tech, where I'm studying computer science and neuroscience. So today we have a very packed webinar with some great topics. We'll be talking about identifying some strengths and interests, choosing the right summer activities, throughout high school, gaining real-world experience and balancing opportunities, as well as exploring these career paths before college. And please do stay tuned to the end because three of my co-peers here, Alap, Vishnu, and Anjan, are the owners of a startup called Open Admit and have built a really cool AI counseling tool as well as a research project generator that we are very excited to give our Grad Achiever community an early explicit demo. So yeah, I'd love to pass it off to you guys for your guys' introductions.
Hey guys, my name is Alap Hegde. Thank you, Rhea, for that introduction. I'm a second year at Stanford studying computer science and economics, and I'm also from the Bay Area, from San Jose.
Hey guys, I'm Vishnu. I'm a second year at the University of Chicago studying physics and math, and I'm also from the Bay Area.
Hi everyone, I'm Anjan. I'm a second year studying at UC Berkeley. I'm studying electrical engineering and computer science, and I'm from Maryland.
Awesome. So my first question to you guys is, what is one thing that you wish you knew before applying to college?
I can go first. I think the biggest thing that I wish I knew, or the biggest thing that I wish that I did, was just talk to more upperclassmen, talk to more people. It's kind of, admissions is like this black box, right? You do all these really cool things in high school, you put it on paper and you submit it, and then you let the admissions officers decide. Nobody really knows what they want or don't want. But a lot of current students who've actually been through the process and gotten admitted do know what schools are looking for. So just talking to them, picking their brains at what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and how can I shape my application in a way that'll work for your respective school.
Yeah, one thing that I wish I knew before I was applying to college is just sort of what path that I wanted to take, right? Because a lot of the time, this is something that I will circle back on later, but you kind of get trapped in this thing that a lot of people call the impressiveness trap, which is you start doing things for the sake of recognition from other people's rather than the intrinsic value that it holds to yourself. And what I wish I had done earlier on is really analyze um, what I wanted out of my college experience, right? And prepared myself to do that in high school. Um, uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is a lot of the activities I was doing towards the first half of high school, especially was completely dedicated towards like very technical activities, right? So I'm a computer science student, so I was constantly programming, I was constantly doing activities associated with computer science of some sort. And one thing I really kind of wish I dedicated towards more before the college application process is I wish I dedicated more time towards building a personality more. I did have like some outside activities from like the technical aspect, but one thing that I wrote about in a lot of my essays is one of my main hobbies is I write movies, I write screenplays. And I really wish I kind of delved more into that hobby and more into my personalities more, because that adds a lot of value when you're writing essays and building a multi-dimensional college application.
Yeah, those are all really, really great insights. Thank you guys. I think for me, one of the biggest things was learning the difference between quality versus quantity. I feel like at the beginning, I just took on so many of these different types of activities just to get things down on my resume, but they weren't necessarily things I was passionate about. I was just doing things because other people were doing them. So definitely having a sense of direction or guidance of how to really hone in on those skills that you're interested in. It's very, very important to, I guess, identify your strengths and interests early on, because self-awareness is really important when it comes to choosing that career path. So how did you guys discover your strengths and interests throughout high school?
Um, Yes, I can talk a little bit about that. I think it's actually very hard to actually figure out what you're good at, right? Like figure out your strengths, especially your weaknesses. And I think still to this day, it's an ongoing battle of figuring it out. Um, I think the biggest indicator of your strengths and weaknesses is what you like, right? Classes in school that you like, you can potentially explore outside of school. But I think for me, mainly it was hobbies. I had a huge passion for cooking. And basically, if I was like, if I'm going to be interested in anything else, I want to pair it with cooking. And so I studied computer science through the lens of cooking. Did research through the lens of cooking, service through the lens of cooking. I think the process becomes a lot easier once you sort of bind it to something that you like and something that, and it doesn't have to be technical, right? Cooking's not technical in any way, but it's like a medium of showing your excitement, showing your passion in a way that's both exciting for the admissions officer as well as you.
Yeah, so my journey was a little bit different than Olep's in the sense that um, I had not really honed in on a passion of mine that early on. I was honestly interested in a bunch of different things. Um, and uh, and my interests were more on the academic side, but I really had no idea what I wanted to like hone in on. And what really helped me out is actually YouTube. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos about various topics, right? Ranging from college lectures to like explainer videos done by some great science communicators. And my recommendation algorithm um, just sort of naturally shaped up to be very physics oriented. And the more that I leaned um, into learning about physics, the more I loved it. And then what I started doing is, uh, sorry, my physics teacher had this opportunity where if you make like a physics video, you get extra credit. So I started doing those, and I found that I really loved learning about physics just by um, you know learning about as much stuff as I could on the internet and then just following that rabbit trail.
Yeah, so I think for me, I was always kind of I've considered myself lucky in the regards of like I kind of grew up very oriented towards computer science or some kind of programming. So I always had some kind of interest in it, but I think the big thing that I realized is to discover my strengths, my weaknesses, kind of like my passions there. It really required a lot of trial and error. I would say sometime around like ninth, 10th grade. That's when I kind of realized that, okay, computer science is really cool. It's really fun. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff about it, but I felt that there was like a lack of connect, a lack of impact there. So what I did then was I found a friend, one of my best friends. We basically started working together on a bunch of projects. And basically what we did is he's pre-med, he's a biology person. And in high school, what we did is we started working on a lot of medical devices together. So we were able to combine both of those fields of biology and computer science. And really what this took was a lot of trial and error, a lot of kind of just brainstorming, kind of getting out of our comfort zone. But by the end of it, this was basically the basis of most of my application. For my college application, a lot of it relied on kind of like the strength of those projects, those biotech projects, because it adds not only the computer science aspect to it, but also, you know, saving lives and adding another dimension on top of that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I would also say like trial and error was a really big part of my journey too. Growing up, I grew up in a family of doctors. So ever since I was really young, a lot of my summer vacations were very dedicated to watching surgeries, shadowing doctors, and working in that hospital setting. However, starting high school, that passion did carry on over into my freshman year. But during COVID, when the world took a pause, that's when I kind of noticed how much technology scaled, like from our everyday essentials when it comes from placing our grocery orders all the way to virtual doctor's appointments. And that's when I kind of realized that there were so many interdisciplinary fields connecting these different subjects like technology and the sciences. And that's how I really developed my interest within computational neurosciences. So you guys were all mentioning all of these different things that you're doing right now in college. So how did you guys choose the right summer activities and how did you really maximize your summers every year?
I think for summer activities, first thing I did, well, like my first free summer, I did what a lot of other parents, a lot of other counselors told me, right? Apply for a bunch of summer programs and do one of those. So I tried it out. This wasn't a research program, it was more of a course. It was a course on, I think, data science, statistics, and machine learning, as a 10th grader. And I mean, I did the course, I thought it was interesting, but I didn't really know where to apply it. It was like in 8 weeks, I learned all these things, and then I slowly forgot it over time. Going into the next two summers, my philosophy was a little bit different, right? I almost viewed summer as a continuation of the school year, except you don't have to do school. You have 10 hours a day to do some really cool things. And so my summers ended up being a lot more freeform, right? I'm not a huge fan of summer programs. I would rather continue a passion project that I started off throughout the year and just give it 5, 6 hours a day and really expand that. So a lot of my summers were like building up my nonprofit, conducting independent research, creating YouTube videos, working in restaurants, and like doing all those things, at least for me, I felt was a lot more fulfilling, interesting than a strict summer program with a really specified path.
Yeah, similarly to Alap, um, especially given uh how niche my interests were, right? I wasn't like an engineering or CS kid. I wasn't a business or finance kid, and I wasn't a pre-med. And so because of that, there weren't frankly that many like structured summer opportunities for me. And that meant that summer was kind of an opportunity for me um, to do things out of my own volition, right? And I would just think about, look, what is something that I really, really want to do? And I didn't really care about how it scaled or how it would present to other people. I would just be like, look, what is something that I really want to do? And an example of that was I really wanted to talk to like a bunch of really impressive researchers whose lectures that I'd been watching on YouTube. So I was like, okay, is there some way, can I figure out some way to just have like 30-minute conversations with them? What incentive can I give them to talk to me? So I actually decided to start a podcast where it gives researchers a platform to publicize their research. And I also get the opportunity to um, have conversations with amazing people that I wouldn't have been able to meet otherwise. And so that's one of the main things that I did over the summer. I just emailed a bunch of researchers and I'm like, hey, can I just talk to you for 30 minutes on this podcast about your research? And I built a really amazing network from that by just talking to different professors. And a lot of those opportunities carried on into my later summers when I was leveraging those connections.
So I think for me, I always preferred all my summers. I think maybe ninth and 10th grade, it was a little bit more structured, but after that, I really preferred my summers to be extremely freeform. What I mean by that is I preferred a lot of flexibility in my summers for the sole reason of kind of what Alap said. I really wanted time. Basically, what I did every summer is I would try to start a new project to try to submit to whatever competitions for the new year. So I participated in a lot of like science competitions, right? Like there's like ISIF, Regeneron, stuff like this. So my goal I would start working in the summer and I would start building up a project. And so by like February, March of the new year, I would have a lot of work done and a really cohesive or a really just holistic project. Um, so I would say that that gives me a lot of time to just pick up a new project every summer. So that kind of gives me that discipline of like one big project a year. In terms of other stuff for summer, the big piece of advice I can give in terms of like that summer program, that kind of dilemma is, for me, if you're looking for some kind of summer program or internship experience, what's always been better for me is I always just used to cold email just hundreds of professors at universities. And only obviously a couple would respond, but essentially what I would be asking is, hey, I'm a junior in high school and I'm really interested in your work and blah, blah, blah. It would be really great to work at your lab or work on one of your projects. Just sending an email like that, it does work because you will get some responses. And a lot of these times, these university professors are looking for just like unpaid kind of high school positions, stuff like that. So the reason why I suggest this over summer programs is because of that kind of that free form concept. It's a lot more flexible. You get to choose your own work a lot more, and you're working just hands-on with PhD students and just college level work. So it's a really good experience and much more hands-on, I would say. So that's the kind of piece of recommendation I would give there.
If I could add on something here, one of the things that I actually regret about what I did in high school was, well, actually, let me preface this by saying something that makes a good high school profile is very different than what a good like college student profile looks like in order for employability, right? And the reason why I say this is in high school, you're very centered around um, developing a narrative around yourself, right? That narrative is really what matters. Whereas for your college resume, what matters is like your cold, hard experiences, work experience. And something that I wish I did is I wish I had some startup internship experience, um, uh, preferably between the summer of like of 12th grade leading up into college, because that would have really helped me when I was then applying to internships the freshman year of my college, right? And so I think that sort of facilitating the transition between your high school profile, which is very narrative focused, versus your college profile, which is very like objective and work experience focused, is something that I wish I would have facilitated earlier.
Yeah, those are all really, really great insights. For me personally also as well, I never really did any like academic summer-based programs. Initially when I was pre-med, I focused a lot of my summers, like I mentioned before, working and volunteering at various hospitals, both here and back home in India. And then after my mindset did shift, I explored my field or my interest for technology by learning coding on my own, since there are a multitude of resources available online. And I also spent a lot of my time cold emailing professors at my local university so that I could get a committed internship for that summer. So I worked at a lab called the Icon Lab, where we researched olfaction within rats. And it also taught me some really great, like real world hands-on skills. We were able to analyze data from various test stimuli. I was able to utilize Python to model and visualize different data sets. So definitely a lot of things that I thought I wouldn't really be able to get experience in within one of those academic summer program type settings. And I was also able to get this as a full-time internship, which I was able to continue throughout the school year, where I went in every Friday and was able to work with these researchers, PhD students, and professors. And another incremental part of my high school summers, I would say, was identifying my weakness, because I was a very introverted individual. I always kept to myself. I wasn't very outgoing. So I really stepped out of my comfort zone and I participated in various leadership conferences where I could represent both my school and also my state. I'm from Arizona. And one of the biggest ones was the Hugh O'Brien Leadership Conference. So being able to participate in that, it really allowed me to talk about myself, like brand myself as a person better, and also just give me a lot more experiences when it comes to like teamwork, collaboration skills, coming up with new ideas, and not really being afraid of sharing your ideas with other people. So yeah, it's so important, I would say, to gain real world experience and also just balancing opportunities in general. So I know you guys touched on this a little bit earlier about like how to find some opportunities. Anjan, you mentioned cold emails, but Alap and Vishnu, how did you guys also continue to do that? And also, how did you guys balance your school, extracurriculars, and also your work experience all together throughout high school?
Yeah, I think even before I answer that question, if I could go back to the summer program one, I was just waiting to see what the other panelists said, but I think all of us sort of agreed that like the best thing to do in your summer is to like independent projects, have that flexibility and sort of innovate on your own. But I do get asked a lot, what summer programs would I recommend? So I'm just going to give you guys a quick list of the summer programs that I personally would recommend based on my experiences in high school, the experiences of my friends in high school, and trends that I've seen throughout Stanford, Berkeley, and a lot of other top schools. So for 10th and 11th graders, the programs that I would recommend, first and foremost, is Cosmos. And the reason why I recommend this is think of it, you're not going to really do anything super novel, niche, or innovating here, but it is a good thing to have on your resume, and it actually does help getting into the UC schools. So that's the first thing. The second one is 2 summer programs led by UC Santa Barbara. The first one is the Research Mentorship Program, and I really, really highly advocate for this one because it's the perfect balance of learning something, getting a good brand, like a good stamp on your resume, but most importantly, having an independent project that you can do from start to finish. So that's the second one, the UCSB Research Mentorship Program. The third one is kind of iffy. I recommend this for a lot of ninth graders. It's the UCSB, I think it's called the SRA, Summer Research Academy. This is 4 weeks, so it doesn't take a lot of time, but it's pretty much a boot camp where you get a good introduction to research. But the reason why I'm recommending this is it helps you get into the more prestigious research mentorship program down the line. If you're interested in math, I would recommend 2 programs. The first one is the Ross Summer Program, and then Math Camp, which is another highly prestigious one. If you're interested, sorry about that. If you're interested in engineering, I would recommend the MIT Beaverworks one. This is for more hands-on mechanical, I believe electrical engineering. If you're interested in computer science plus business or tech plus business, I would really highly recommend the MIT, I'm sorry, the Wharton MNTSI program. This is held by the University of Pennsylvania, and it's a really good feeder into the eventual M&T program. So I would really recommend that. Lastly, if you're interested in straight research, I would really recommend RSI. It's probably the most famous, the most infamous summer program just because it's harder to get into than MIT itself. But again, if you have a very technical profile, maybe someone like Anjan who did a lot of science fair, built a lot of products, then I would recommend that as well. Yeah, so that's just a quick rundown of specific summer programs I would recommend if you're going to apply to them. One thing to note is that the brand name of the summer program does not matter at all. And this is a huge thing I see parents saying. I go to Stanford. I'm obviously a huge advocate for Stanford. I think there's like 2 Stanford summer programs that are worth it. And I think the rest genuinely are money grabs. And I've been in these situations. Like in 8th grade, I was like, okay, I got into a summer program at Stanford. I thought that was amazing. And it's really the exact same thing as getting into a summer program anywhere. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And to answer your question, how do you find these opportunities? Um, like Anjan, I think cold calling is the best thing, right? But my cold calling experience was a little different. Anjan, he said he was cold calling a lot of professors. I did research through a more structured environment and more independently, and actually ended up cold calling chefs. I was very interested in the restaurant industry, right? Obviously, being a huge passionate about food, passionate about cooking, and doing all these things about cooking. I'm like, okay, let me try to get the best restaurant internship as possible. And let me try to get the best restaurant internship and see where that goes. So I cold emailed probably 30, 40 chefs all across the country. And I ended up getting a really nice internship in New York at a Michelin star restaurant called Janoon. So that's another example, right? Cold emailing doesn't just need to be academic, but it's a value proposition, right? Whenever you cold email someone, you need to show them willingness to learn, but you also need to show them, I'm going to contribute something other than more work for you to maintain me, right? So it's all about balancing that. I think one last thing is leverage your family connections as much as possible, right? This is something I regret not doing enough, which is why for my younger brother, I'm trying to set him up with all these things at Stanford. But your family, your parents, especially like all the parents in this webinar, you clearly are very invested in your child's development, right? And opportunities such as the ones presented on GradAchiever, there are a lot of opportunities to learn a lot of cool things. So I'd really recommend leveraging your parents' network, your parents' peers network, same way you would ask for a referral for an internship during industry. You can do the same thing in high school.
So I think for me, they're a step above leveraging your own family connections is building uh, what a lot of people call a serendipity vehicle, which is something that just allows a lot of really lucky stuff to happen to you. And for me, again, that was my podcast because by talking to a lot of these amazing people, I got access to opportunities that I never would have been able to do otherwise. For example, a PhD student um, at the University of Pennsylvania was um, was starting this startup for DNA data storage, where basically um, he was basically just trying to store data as compactly as possible inside DNA and constructing DNA molecule by molecule, right? And I interviewed him about his research, and because I did a good job with the interview, he actually gave me the opportunity to do an internship with this startup, and he was doing it in conjunction with with his like professors who were his advisors for his PhD. And just networking as much as possible with people in the areas you're interested in allows these very serendipitous things to happen to you. For example, Alap, one thing he forgot to mention is that he had a cooking YouTube channel, right? And that cooking YouTube channel where he showcased his ability to cook and his recipes played an instrumental part in him being able to get that internship at the Michelin star restaurant as a chef, right? So you want to be able to showcase your skills and your capabilities in public as much as possible and get that reach as far as possible as well, because um, that allows people to find you. It allows opportunities to find you rather than you having to go out and find opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. I think, real quick before Anjan, I think we're also lucky, like us four panelists, just being able to get accepted into the schools we're at. Like, yes, we put a lot of hard work into building that profile, but at the end of the day, it is a shot in the dark, right? But just putting yourself, like Vishnu said, I think that word was really good, a serendipitous vehicle. Putting yourself in opportunities to get selected for universities, for summer programs, for research opportunities. The more opportunities you create, just mathematically, the more likely it is for something to hit, right? So you have to keep like pushing yourself and keep working hard and just building out as many opportunities as you can.
Yeah, I think you guys covered for the most part, like most of the ways you would be finding these opportunities. I think like the second question Ria asked was a little bit more about like balancing all of the activities, making sure, how do you have time for everything? I think the biggest piece of advice I could give here is like, I really wish I could stress how important that concept of quality over quantity is. Especially very early on in high school, I think it kind of hit me that I was trying to do every club in high school, every kind of activity I could possibly get my hands on. And that obviously was making my schedule very busy, but it was also making my application or my profile as a whole, like just all over the place, like it had nothing to do with each other. I was doing math team, I was doing debate, I was doing all of this, and I just had no like proper image of a profile. So I think by 10th grade, by the time I think that was kind of when COVID hit for us. That was when I really, really kind of cracked down on what I genuinely wanted to do. So like programming, I made sure I was practicing that specifically. Um, projects to do with programming, hobbies. I really cut down on the activities I was doing. And obviously, I was still busy. You will, like, by the time you reach junior, senior year, it's just inevitable that your schedule is going to be like very packed with a bunch of activities. But the most important thing is realizing like when it's time to let go of an activity. It doesn't matter how long you've done it or whatever it is, you need to be able to see the longevity in the activity and say, I can prove myself as different and put this on my college application and it will have like a lot of value. If you can't say that about an activity, then it's probably just not worth it to continue doing. And maybe you should spend your resources on other stuff. Yeah.
I think also, I think resume, at least in my opinion, I think weirdly enough, resume padding is a necessary evil in the sense that you have 10 spaces for activities, right? And realistically, you can't be putting 100% into everything. So what I would really recommend is two kinds of extracurriculars. The first kind is the ones you actually care about and the ones you're actually going to dedicate all your time to. And I would make this no more than 3 or 4 per year. And then the other activities, I call these autopilot extracurriculars, extracurriculars that give you the best bang for buck. They don't necessarily give you a great story to write about, but you don't need it because you already have 3 to 4 ones you are going to write a story about. But there are going to be ones that at first glance, they look really impressive on your resume, and you don't have to put in a lot of work to get them. You start it up and then it all keeps running itself. I think the other thing is of your experience in high school, less of a work-life balance, but more of doing things that you actually love, right? And I'll give an example of this. Me, Vishnu, and Anjan, we've been working on Open Admit for the past few months. And it doesn't feel like work, right? It feels like you're excited to do something because you actually love it. In high school, for me, that was cooking. And every extracurricular I did, I tried to make it related to cooking in some way. So it didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like I had to actually like do something that I wasn't passionate about. And once you start building extracurriculars like this, designing them with intent, the whole process becomes a lot easier. Genuinely, like I was sleeping at 12 before midnight most nights, getting good sleep, having fun doing projects, hanging out with my friends. And that's the life you want to build, right? You don't want to be continuously doing projects that you feel forced to.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. Those are all really, really great insights. And just to kind of wrap this up before our demos, so I guess one of like the biggest things is, did you guys ever have your plans change during your career journeys throughout high schools? And then what are some ways that students can explore this? And what is like a piece of advice that you can give to our audience here today?
Oh, sorry, can you repeat the first part of the question? I
Yeah.
think it cut out for me.
Sorry. Yeah. So did your guys' plans or careers or your ideas of what you wanted to do in the future change throughout high school? And how did you navigate that?
Um, Yeah, I think mine definitely did. Like Vishnu was saying earlier, the more opportunities you give yourself to learn, the more pivots are going to naturally happen, right? And for me, I think the biggest pivot was from straight computer science to product management and like team leadership organization. Um, from in ninth grade, I was like, I have no idea what I want to study. And to be quite honest, none of the subjects in school really interested me either, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to study computer science because I don't know what else to study. I started doing that. I started coding and it was quite boring. Then, after I started creating my nonprofit, the first real thing that involved me actually talking to people, learning what users actually care about, and communicating, translating like consumer needs to technical needs, that's what I fell in love with. And I'm like, okay, I realized that I don't necessarily like traditional programming in the same way Anjan would, but I like the process of figuring out what to program, figuring out how can I create the most value in a product. And these things are going to happen as you start doing more things, which is why I think it's so important to have such a diverse collection of activities to learn from.
Yeah, for me, I'll be honest, I still am doing like a transition a day. Um, and I'm still figuring out exactly what I want to do. But I think the best the best policy for this is to just be like radically honest with yourself, right? If you're doing something um and you're not enjoying it, well, I would say either you should be very clear with yourself, like for I'll give you an example. Like my friends at U Chicago who are interested in the investment banking path, right? Everyone says that for 2 years it's hell. It's really bad. You have horrible work hours, but you you basically endure that for 2 years, and then you go and work in a private equity firm, which is what a lot of people really like, right? Learning business from an investment perspective. So if you're not enjoying something in the moment, then either make sure it has a purpose or be honest enough with yourself to sort of make a transition. And I think that's what I've had to do in the past. And I've had to do that with sort of my interpretation of what I wanted to do with physics, right? Previously, I thought, okay, I want to be a physics professor. I want to do um like pure physics research, and slowly I've transitioned away from that. And yeah, I think it's good to just be really honest with yourself about what you want to do right now and in the future.
Yeah, I think like a really good kind of description of it is instead of like every day in high school, you're going to be thinking, okay, should I do this? And just like kind of like switch career paths, stuff like that. A better way to think of it for me at least was like, I would say it was like kind of like building it up, you know? I started off at like computer science, just raw programming, you know, just doing like these little puzzles, stuff like that. But then later on, it went to, like I said, I was creating medical devices. I was creating these other things, and I was building up on my interest of computer science to be able to apply it towards more than just raw programming or something like that. So I would say like the best thing is if you do enjoy something, test the limits of it. Any industry, any major that you are kind of exposed to, there's so much sub industries, sub kind of content in there. Like computer science, I can't name the number of subfields in there, but there's so much, and all you really have to do is just keep doing that kind of that trial and error process, and you'll know what you like and what you don't like by the end of it. So yeah, I'd say that's my main piece of advice there.
Yeah, I completely agree with Alap, Vishnu, and Anjan. I think it's really important to really commit your time into doing impactful things that really bring you a sense of fulfillment and not to just do certain things because everyone around you is doing them. I think it's so easy to compare yourself with others saying, oh, this person is doing research in this field, in XYZ field, so I want to do that. I think it's just really important to, stay true to yourself and realize what your interests are and then work on dedicating your time to all of that. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys, Alap, Vishnu, and Anjan, for all sharing your insights. So now I'll pass it over to Kavita for a quick Gratachiever demo.
Thank you, Ria, Alap, Vishnu, and Anjan. Super insightful session. We have our one of our team members who's going to be demoing Grad Achiever while she shares the screen. I just want you guys, if you haven't registered, please take time to understand what this platform is. It's a free platform. It's built for the people and by the people. So be over to you, please.
Hello everyone. So this is the GradAchiever platform. When you are going to actually register on the platform, and once you log in it, this is how you are going to see it. And we have different sections on the GradAchiever. First section, so I'm just going from the left to the right. So one is the event section, where we keep posting about the event. So it's not only our events. If you come to know about any other event which is going on, you yourself can actually go into the create events and then post about your events. Then we have the group section, where you can join the existing groups, or you can actually create your own groups by new group. And then we have the member section. This is all the members of the GradAchiever family, what we have it. If you would like to connect with anybody, you can just search their name, try to find them, and then you can connect with them. Then we have the opportunities section, which is our the most desirable section. Here we keep posting about the internships, scholarships, summer programs, and volunteering opportunities. Here it's not that only we can post it. If as a user, once you register it, you can go and post the opportunities yourself, and it will be posted for everybody. So next has the resource section, where we have the UC GPA calculator. It is for the University of California, because they calculate the GPA a little differently. Once you put in all the details of it, it will tell what will be the GPA for you for the UCs. And there are some frequently asked questions, what generally they see, to get a clarity of it. Next, we have the podcast section. Here we actually keep uploading whatever the sessions happen. In fact, for today's also, it will be uploaded here, and we will definitely let you know once this is done. And yeah, after that, we have the high school course selection sections. So in this course selection section, it is basically, suppose if you already know which major, or what is your interest and all that. For example, you would like to become an HR professional, example, right? So as a rough estimate, like what subject you should take in the freshman, sophomore, junior and senior year, and based on your school courses availability, you can definitely tweak this one. And then you have the counselors and tutors section, where you have lots of tutors and counselors listed here. And then if you are looking for any tutor, you can search it, you can reach out to them, you can, in fact, if you use somebody, you can actually provide their ratings and feedback as well. Same thing goes for the counselors as well. There are multiple counselors also listed here. If you would like to actually use any one of them, reach out to them. That is there. Then we have the blog section. If you would like to really talk about or write something as a user, you can actually go it. Anybody can write a blog on this platform. It's not restricted that only grad achiever is going to write a blog on this platform. So you can actually just go to your profile, and then you can click on the blog section. Yeah, here is the blog section, and you can actually post your own. You can create it, and it will take you to the wizard where you can post it about whatever you would like to talk about it. Next, I would like to actually give this is from the Open Admin. This is the tool which is there, which is basically a AI based winning science project generator, where you would like to get, if you would like to get an idea what kind of project you can do it. These are the some of the already pre-populated. For example, topics are there, subjects I would say. So like, for example, I would like to do a project in chemistry, and complexity I'm looking for, like 5, and I would like to do it for the waste management, right? Then I have using chemistry, then if I do it, it is going to give me some of the ideas which can be actually created. For example, like enhanced degradation of polypropylene waste using photo oxidation and fungal treatment. So this is like, this gives you an idea, because sometimes you want to do it but you don't know what to do it. This is a great tool which is actually developed by Open Admin. We just this is a exclusively available for the grad achiever users. And this is another thing we have it. This is basically for the my plan. Once you know which subjects and all that you're going to take it, you can create your own plan, like what I would like to do into the freshman first semester, second semester, what is there anything additional details I would like to do, an internship, passion project, or anything. This is mine. Every user will have their own. Next is the career quiz. Career quiz is basically when you really don't even know what I would like to do it. So when you take this career quiz, it actually gives you a rough idea based on your interest, likes and dislikes, what career path will basically suit your profile. So try to take this quiz and let us know. And if you have any feedback about the platform, any feature you would like to add in, please reach out to us. We will be definitely happy to add those. And then you can follow us on our social media here. I think that's pretty much from my end. Please make use of the platform and register it. Over to you, Kavita.
Thank you, Surbi. Great demo. Again, everyone. There is a question as to these opportunities are great, but are there any reviews of the desirable and honorable they are by universities? Madhu, this is a question from her. But again, this is the platform we created based on our journey of our own high schoolers, right? If you guys are looking for recommendations, that's where we encourage all the parents and students to come in and share a blog or anything related to those opportunities. And just a few minutes ago, Alap did share some of the important ones that he thinks. That's where we want the community to contribute and share the information. That's what we are looking from everybody, because as a step one, what we are doing is we're trying to grab some of the best ones and post them there. So again, community, this platform is completely free for everybody. We want community to leverage, right? Not just take, but also give back in terms of your reviews and stuff. I hope I answered your question. And next we'll move on to a quick hands-on demo of the AI tool that our speakers have built here, and their company, as you saw, it's Open Admit, a new startup they have created with an innovative idea of building an AI-based counseling tool. So on to you guys, Ala, Panjan, and Vishnu. Please take it over and demo your tool.
Yeah. So the idea with OpenAdmit is to leverage the unprecedented data pool that now surrounds college admissions, right? We have thousands of successful applications, university common data sets where the universities essentially detail exactly what they're looking for in applicants. And you also have a bunch of winning projects from various competitions like ISIF, DECA, and more. And using this wealth of data, what we're doing is we're harnessing it along with AI to create a hyper-personalized college counseling experience where advice is provided by identifying patterns between past applicants and your profile. So all the advice that is going to be provided to you is going to be on the basis of past successful Ivy Plus admits who share your background, academic profiles, and extracurricular interests. Additionally, what we do, and this is what is being demoed here, is we transform real applications into interactive AI mentors. And we allow students to engage in dynamic conversations with these AI mentors as if they were speaking to the real person, right? So let's take a look at Alap's profile over here. Alap, if you want to click on that.
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is we're creating a wall of these mentors. The whole goal is to be able to talk to as many mentors as possible. Just as now you're talking to 4 of us, the goal is to be able to talk to thousands of us, pick our brains on the activities we did, learn about our journey. So yeah, let's click on my application. And how it looks from here is we're going to keep populating this. This is just a teaser of what we're doing. But on the right side, you can see all the activities, right? In a profile, you can see all the activities that I did. And this model is also trained on all the activities, all the awards, and all the essays of my own, right? So we can ask a question. Vishnu, look through my activities and just pick any question. We can do a live demo here.
Alap, I'm interested in learning more about ScrapSaver, you know? What inspired you to start ScrapSaver? What challenges did you face, etc.?
So one thing that we do have is the conversation starters over here, right? Which basically help guide a student through a mentor's application. So one of the and these conversations are completely custom generated every single time. Let's see. What are some challenges you faced while co-founding? And actually, I'm going to switch tabs for now so I can see it. But I'm just going to directly answer the question. My main challenges were, one, figuring out what the user actually wanted. My initial approach was just to build something, show it to people, see if they liked it and didn't like it. And the problem was I built something, I showed it to people and they didn't really like it. So what I should have done is talked to people, talked to soup kitchens, talked to charities, talked to food banks, and figure out the actual pain points of these users. And once I was able to do this, I can actually help them. The second thing was actually getting to onboard, right? Just like cold calling a professor, you have to talk to hundreds of people to even get 2 or 3 yeses and nos, right? So that's another thing. And with this model, you'll be able to talk to a bunch of people like me. So let's just see what the response gave and how similar it is to what I said. Yeah. So, like I said, talking and understanding the needs of the people. Another one, like I said, was establishing partnerships, getting people to say yes or no. And the whole goal of a model like a tool like this is just to be able to talk to people with a bunch of different experiences to learn what they did to inspire you to create something of your own. And that's pretty much this in a nutshell. So you have a gallery of mentors you can talk to. And obviously, this is not our official UI or anything. This is a tool that we've been releasing for parents and students to play around with, but we're going to have hundreds of such mentors. So the next thing is, okay, I've talked to a bunch of people. I kind of know what I want to do. I want a counselor to be able to instruct me and actually help me throughout the process, right? Which brings me to our next offering, which is our main college counselor. We call her Athena. And this is what this looks like. We've kept it very similar to a GPT-style interface just so students know how to use it. And the whole point of this is you can ask any question you want. I'll give you an example. Let's say I want to create a biotech passion project idea, right? Remember how Anjan was talking about he had a really strong biotech profile. So what we can do is I can be like, I want to start a biotech passion project, maybe some kind of medical device for underserved communities. First thing it's actually going to do is recommend you to talk to Anjan, right? It sees, okay, instead of me just telling you what to do, get inspired by talking to this person, get inspired by talking to this person, and learn what they did so you can have some informed thoughts on what you want to create yourself. I'm like, okay, I go talk to Anjan. Anjan, I saw you did a bunch of different biotech ideas. What's your overall philosophy? And this model is the exact same thing I showed you earlier, and it's designed to explain Anjan's profile. So I can see his activities, I can see his awards and everything. And look, Anjan created ScanCare. Can you explain a little bit more about ScanCare? And then Anjan explains about ScanCare. And you can ask infinite questions to infinitely many of these mentors. Now I have a good understanding of what it takes to actually build a biotech project idea. I really like ScanCare. Let me go back to Athena and let's start building it out together. I really liked his idea. Can you help me build something soon? And then Athena will actually help you build a project and she'll walk you through it rather than just spitting a solution immediately. Because remember, the project itself, yeah, it's cool, but it's the journey you took to get to the project that's really exciting to universities, right? So the ability to talk to people and learn from their journeys is very, very powerful for this. And like, let me pull up the last one. And like Kavita briefly demoed earlier, we also have this AI science fair tool. And this is just something we released just to share. Obviously, like we're not going to give you a final solution immediately. It's more of an iterative process. But I think this tool especially just goes to show the quality of what we're doing, right? We're trying to build something trained off of real student experiences. And so every project you see here, it's trained off of thousands of winning ISEF projects. And everything from Athena, everything from the mentor virtualization is going to have a similar theme of seeing what successful students have done and showing you how to replicate their path and create your own path at the same time.
Yeah, I think that kind of we can talk a little bit more about what our future looks like for what we're releasing. So a little bit about like our timeline for release schedule, kind of that aspect. So these smaller tools like the AI research mentor tool or the ability to just chat with a couple of handful of mentors, those tools are pre-release tools that are kind of just open beforehand so you guys can test out and play around with the core functionalities of OpenAdmit. But I would expect that the official application, the official product of what Alap showed, like the GPT-styled interface, that should be ready by the first week of March. So by then, the full tool with all access to all of these kind of different functions will be all embedded into that.
Thank you, Alok.
Okay,
And
and
I have a
the
question here.
last thing is,
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
there is a question here from the audience that was sent out directly to me. So the question here was, when they ask a question on your OpenAdmit platform, does an actual person answer? And is there a way to engage with actual students?
Yeah. So at this time, there are no actual people answering, right? It depends on who you're asking. If you ask a virtualized mentor, it's going to be purely trained on their application data, and it's designed to not give you instructional advice, but rather to explain the journey that mentor took to get to where they are. Now, let's go to Athena. Athena is trained on thousands of these mentors, right? So the advice you're getting, it's going to come from maybe not just one, but maybe 10, 15 successful profiles who had done something similar to what you're asking. In the future, we may build in human-to-human integrations, but as of now, the whole goal is to keep this as low cost as possible for parents and students, as well as not just getting advice from one person, but advice from thousands.
Yeah, the idea is to make it very data-driven and objective, right? Whereas if you're speaking to one person, you you may only get their perspective, their heuristics for college admissions, whereas we, using data and AI, are reducing the admissions process as much as possible to a science, right? Making it as data-driven and precise as possible. And now to access the tools, I'm sharing my screen to invite you to our WhatsApp group where you can get some more details about development updates um, and similar uh, um, and similar things. You can get access to all of our tools as we release them.
Yeah, basically on this WhatsApp group chat, like Vishnu said, we're going to keep releasing tools, keep sending you guys updates on different features. We're going to be releasing the Athena counselor tool for you guys to try out soon. And it's eventually in close to 3 weeks, OpenAdmit is officially launching. So hop on this group chat if you want to be able to get exclusive access, exclusive updates. We're also hosting a ton of webinars. We answer a ton of like specific questions on this group chat as well. So if you're interested, yeah, just hop on and yeah.
And we'll leave it up there for the next couple of minutes as we're fielding questions about about the platform or any of the experiences that we shared earlier regarding our high school journeys. So yeah, now we're happy to open it up to the audience.
Thank you for the
One of
demo
the
and sharing.
question which I directly received is that AI answering is great, but makes you wonder about accuracy and hallucination. If you can show reasoning on how you came up with answer, it might be a helpful, also helps as a user. Thank you.
Yeah, so one of the main things that we can do to reduce the hallucination rate is to adjust the setting called the temperature. The temperature is a determination of how precisely our AI tools answer the question, right? And what you'll actually be able to see is that our AI tools will not answer anything based on data that they're not trained on because our temperature rate is very low. And they'll tell you that, look, we don't actually have the answer to this question. But what will end up happening is we send a support ticket to the mentor that it's trained on. And the mentor has a financial incentive to then update their profile such that now their AI profile has the requisite data to answer that question the next time it comes. So our temperature setting is very low, which means that the hallucination rate is basically zero, negligible. And every time that the AI model receives a question that it's not able to answer because it doesn't have the relevant experiences, it says, I'm not able to answer this. And it ends up sending a support ticket to the mentor to fill in those gaps. And all of it, you can actually demo this by asking your model a question that it is not going to be able to answer because it it doesn't fit its profile. So let me stop sharing the link to this WhatsApp group.
Yeah, sure. So let's click on my profile and let's see. So everything I did was cooking, service, CS related, right? What inspired you to start, let's just say dance, for example, right? And we'll see what it says.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, so it'll literally tell you, right? It's not gonna, can you guys hear me? Yeah, it'll literally tell you. It's not going to hallucinate any new information. And what Vishnu was talking about was for the specific mentor chats, right? Like any one of these mentors that you talk to, they're not going to say any information that isn't their own. Now, we have Athena on the other hand. Athena is trained on not just a specific mentor's experience, but thousands of them, right? So she's going to be a lot more versatile in giving you instruction and giving you direction. For example, a little bit about how it works is that she's going to find students who have the most similar experiences to the question you're asking. For example, this way, a lot of the output is not only going to sound really good on paper, but she's actually going to be able to explain how you do it, which is a huge problem that we had with a lot of other AI generators, right? They give you something, half the time it sounds good on paper, but then is it really going to help with my admissions process? How will universities even like this idea? I don't know. With a lot of student data, we've seen where ideas start and where they actually end up, and we've developed a lot of trends in them, right? So all the project, all the advice you're getting, it's not just going to sound good on paper, it's actually going to be able to present itself in a way that's really, really appealing for universities.
This is super helpful.
I have another follow-up question, which is that this tool is very useful, but what would be amazing is to book some time eventually when AI cannot answer, even if it is paid. I This is the question one from one of the user. If you would like to unmute and ask yourself, that will be awesome.
Yeah, hi guys. Thank you for the session. Really useful and a great platform. So, I really like the idea around being able to, talk to folks like this and answer the basic questions. But I'm pretty sure eventually, when you get really interested in one of the mentors, you want to be able to sort of ask more follow-up questions, which you feel like, okay, I want to talk to a real person now. The idea is that now I know what questions I have, it's fairly qualified. So it would make sense for me to also pay for it if I have to, because now I'm interested in this. Somebody has a profile which is fairly interesting, and I want to like sort of have a real conversation with a real person. So does the platform let you do that?
Yeah, as of now, that's a question a lot of parents have asked. As of now, the main goal is just to keep them virtualized, but eventually we are going to add just a direct meet with their mentor, right? You'll click on my profile over here. Actually, I can just show on the UI, it'll be easier. You click on, excuse me. Yeah, you click on a mentor's profile, and then there'll be a small ticket on the side, book a call with this mentor, right? And then you'll be able to book like a pay-as-you-go hour-long call with them. So that's another integration we're adding soon.
But for right now, for launch, we want to keep this as lean as possible. And so that means that we cannot like build this feature and at present for our MVP.
Yeah. Another question we had was how often can we reach out to mentors for guidance? As much as you want, right? I would be fairly annoyed if somebody gave me a tool and they're like, you can only ask 5 mentors a day, right? Then I'd have to really think about what questions I want to ask. I'd have to like strategize it, and it's a lot of unnecessary work. The whole point of this is to be able to talk to as many mentors as we have, so you'll be able to chat with as many mentors as you want. I think the follow-up question to that was, another question was, where's the student data coming from? That's a great question, right? And we directly collect applications, right? Students, we pay our like peers, we pay Stanford, Georgia Tech, Chicago, all these like top schools. We pay them for their applications, and they get a commission for every time a student interacts with their application. So it's all real, all from the source, and all verified, because this is the data that's coming through the Common App.
This is great. Thanks everyone. We just crossed a minute over our webinar time. Super interactive session, but most importantly, the takeaway here is truly appreciate this collaboration, GradAchiever and OpenAdmit. And as Alap, Vishnu, and Anjan shared, they are building this tool for the community, and you all have the early opportunity to look into it and be part of their MVP. So feel free to join their WhatsApp group and participate in it. And the other thing we would like to highlight is GradAchiever platform itself was created to help the parents and students out there. And through our own personal journeys, we saw what it takes to get an answer for one question. And that problem we wanted to solve, and created this absolutely free platform. Please join the platform, leverage it for your future needs of planning your high school. And with that said, one more important call out here is our great speakers here have really decided to take out time to come back to you guys on a periodic basis and have these kind of open forums and webinars to help guide the students and parents. So stay tuned. We'll be showcasing more topics coming our way, hopefully in a regular cadence for these webinars. So just keep an eye and ears out there. Be part of both the WhatsApp groups, OpenAdmit as well as GradAchiever, so you get to hear about upcoming webinar series. We look forward to seeing you all very soon and bring more of your friends and family that could benefit from this. Thank you, Achiever community, and great speakers here, Alap, Anjan, Vishnu, Ria. Appreciate that you guys are taking the community with you. Keep up the good job.
Yeah, and we just also want to say thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you to Surbi for creating the GradAchiever platform, helping us share our experiences. And a huge thank you to Rhea as well, just for being an amazing moderator, helping out with all this. It means a lot. And thank you for everyone, obviously, joining as well.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great Sunday and a great week ahead. Stay tuned for more series.